Unity Santa Fe is a welcoming interspiritual community that celebrates the oneness and divinity of all creation. Our mission is to raise consciousness, transform lives, heal the planet, one person at a time. And guess who that begins with? Me and you. And our Unity Santa Fe core values are God first, awareness, and that's pure awareness with a capital A, joy, love, appreciation, and humble surrender. So now we're going to be blessed with our opening song, Holy Ground. Catherine won't be on the video, but her voice is there. But you'll see Christine and Jerry Ryan and Carol Ryan. So take it away, Brian.
This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For God is present, and where God is holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For God is present, and where God is holy. These are holy hands. God's given us holy hands. God works through these hands, and so these hands are holy. These are holy hands. God's given us holy hands. God works through these hands, and so these hands are holy. These are holy lips. God's given us holy lips. Love speaks through these lips, and so these lips are holy. These are holy lips. God's given us holy lips. Love speaks through these lips, and so these lips are holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For God is present, and where God is holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For God is present, and where God is holy.
Good morning. Let's begin by ensuring our microphones are muted and affirming together our prayer for all creation. Together, surely the presence is in this place and in all places and in all creation. Knowing and accepting this, we behold the divine presence in all creation throughout the world without exception, knowing that there are many paths to God, many names for God, many faces of God, but only one God, and God is expressing as all creation in all ways, always. In this knowing, we come together this morning to experience and express our oneness and divinity. And for the wisdom to live this daily in everything we think, say, and do, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, divine creator, that it is so, and so it is.
I
Amen.
just want to share with you that someone sent a poll that was conducted on behalf of a pet food manufacturer, Royal Canin, and they found that having a companion animal during quarantine helped people cope with isolation. And I know that that's no surprise to those of us who have animal companions. And apparently a lot of shelters were able to adopt out a lot of dogs, and that's been one of the blessings, and cats during COVID. So of those polled, 86 people agreed to take care of their pet because the pet takes care of them. 57% said a companion animal helped them to feel less alone. 49% said it helped them to feel less anxious. 47% said playing with their pet helped encourage them to move around in their home, so maybe a little bit more movement than they would have otherwise had. 41% said it gave them someone to talk to. And that reminds me, I was visiting our dear friend Nancy Herrick in Palm Beach last winter. And she said to me, "Do you always talk to yourself?" And I said, "No, I usually talk to the dogs." Anyway, 39% said it gave them a schedule to follow throughout the day, and 35% said it brought a feeling of positivity into their daily lives. So I thought that was really good information. So now I'd like to share with you an animal blessing from the Daily Word back in 2006. And the Daily Word affirmation is, "I bless animals and their caregivers from the love of God in my heart. I bless animals and their caregivers from the love of God in my heart." And if you can just say that with me, I bless animals and their caregivers from the love of God in my heart. All right. And so now I'd like to invite Deb Caswell to do a responsive reading with me. It's adapted from an Animal Companionship responsive reading by Karen Johnson, who is a Unitarian minister. Ours is a world alive and allowed with the presence of creatures and critters. Animals abound, interwoven in our human lives and wholly independent. This is the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
We give thanks for animal companionship in our lives and on this earth.
For so many of us, we are better human animals because we have known animals as part of our story.
We give thanks for animal companionship in our lives and on this earth.
Animals are not only cuddly and cute, companions of solace and delight, animals are deeply wild. Let us always show forms of proper respect for this wild way.
We give thanks for animal companionship in our lives and on this earth.
There is the painful reality that some animals suffer needlessly at our hands. Let us give thanks for animals without hypocrisy or heartless dominance.
We give thanks for animal companionship in our lives and on this earth.
There are animals in our daily life whose labor makes our own lives easier, safer, more accessible, whose lives are sacrificed that some of us eat or cover our bodies. May we move even closer to that ideal to live lightly on the earth, taking only what we must and no more.
We give thanks for animal companionship in our lives and on this earth.
We bless all animals. We bless those we know and love. We bless those unknown to us who have benefited our lives. We bless even those ones that can harm us, affirming with humility their place in the interdependent web. We affirm the impulse for humans to live in right relation with all other animals on this earth. May we honor our best presence as part of the animal family. That is a wonderful way to soften our heart and prepare us for our prayers of gratitude.
The times I spend in silent prayer are pearls of priceless worth to me. No fear have I, nor dark despair. Your light is everything I see. You lift me now to blessed heights. On wings of song I soar above. In joy, in bliss, my soul delights to know the blessing of your love.
We'll now have a minute of silence so you can bring to mind and heart your prayer requests and all those things you are grateful for. And if you'd like, you can email your written blessings and prayer requests to brendalyn@unitysantafe.org. Today's daily word is fearless. Let's join together now to pray today's affirmation aloud 3 times with zeal and enthusiasm. Ready? I am fearless as I live authentically. I am fearless as I live authentically. I am fearless as I live authentically. Now, let's enjoy today's special music.
And today's special music is by the one, the only Pete EQ, doing Mozart's Sonata. And well, I'm going to just let him take it away. Pete EQ. Wow. Mm. That guy's really good, Brian, that PDQ guy. Thank
Yeah,
you,
he's
thank you, thank you. So our Adventures in Consciousness affirmation this week is, I rest in the perfect peace of who I truly am. I rest in the perfect peace of who I truly am. I invite you to affirm that with me, even though you're muted. I rest in the perfect peace of who I truly am. So I'm wondering, how would your life be different if you fully embraced today's affirmation, today's message, this idea of resting in the perfect peace of who you truly are? And I just invite, if a few of you would like to unmute yourself and share, what would be in it for you? How would your life be different? Don't everybody speak up at once. So some of the ideas I have is that off the top of my head, I would be blessed with feeling rest, feeling peace, and knowing my oneness. And that's a lot. And just shout it out if you have anything you'd like to add to that.
I would be less stressed as I try too hard to please everyone, and in truth, probably to please no one. Certainly not me, because I become an absolute wreck. That's just being honest.
Thank you, Ann. And I think that a lot of us can resemble that remark.
Oh, I hope I don't know. I hope so, but I hope not.
This is Karen, and I would be fearless.
Yes.
Oh, yes, good.
Okay. Well, anybody else has ideas, I can put it in the chat. How's that? Now, my purpose in today's message is to support you resting in the perfect peace of who you truly are. But we have this human condition, and that human condition includes not knowing how to rest and not knowing who we truly are. Fortunately, for every human condition, there is a spiritual solution. And the spiritual solutions today are knowing how to rest and knowing who you truly are. So this is the first message in our 7-week Adventures in Consciousness Fall program based on Ralph Huber's writings, Living as Our Awakened Self. And that document, it's a PDF document, and it will be posted on our website later today so that everybody can access it. You don't have to go out and buy a book. Ralph is just generously offering a PDF of these writings for us to study. And again, as I mentioned earlier before Facebook Live people came on, we're just delighted because Ralph is a part of our community. And we've never had this opportunity to have the author of the document we're studying be part of our family. So thanks again, Ralph. And again, thanks to everybody. Even if you're on Facebook Live, grab something red and add to the energy of the first chakra, because we want to have our foundation. We want to be grounded and confident in our ability to do what we need to do to live in the perfect peace and knowing who we are, truly are. So, what does it mean to rest in the perfect peace of who you truly are? Well, two things come to mind for me. One is we would have to know, there's two things we would have to know in order to rest in the perfect peace of who we truly are. And those are the spiritual solutions I mentioned earlier. That is, we have to know how to rest and we have to know who we truly are. So let's examine this first idea of how to rest. I've been really blessed because some of you know that during my sabbatical, I began a 12-week course in unified mindfulness meditation. And one of the techniques that we learned that I have been using every day since I learned it is called feel rest. So when practicing feel rest, we notice or create rest, relaxation, and emotional peace in the body. And when we focus on relaxation and emotional peace, as we concentrate on it, it increases our awareness that this peace, this rest, is always available to us somewhere in our body, even though it may be subtle. And so as we start noticing and practicing feel rest, we begin to notice it more frequently, and we can call on it and we can tap into it anytime it would be helpful to us. It's a great technique that you can use either as a formal practice where you're sitting on your cushion and you just say, I'm going to sit today and I'm going to keep feeling rest. And when it fades, find rest somewhere else. Or what I love about it is it can be an informal practice, just as a quickie throughout the day or right in the midst of a challenge. We can experience this rest, this peace. I even enjoy it when I'm out on my 3-mile walk every morning and I realize that I'm not relaxed. And so I'll loosen the grip on Paloma's leash and just let my body relax, even as I'm walking. I do it during meetings when there's any kind of, unhelpful energy. I do it when driving. All of a sudden I realize I've got this death grip on the wheel, and I just relax and rest. So I think particularly during this pandemic and this political season, that feel rest can be a real peace anchor for us. And I'm going to give you a little taste of it during our meditation at the end. So basically all you do is find it in your body or create it in your body and just spend a few seconds appreciating rest and emotional peace and physical relaxation. So that's how we find rest and how we rest, or it's one way. Another thing we want to do is examine the second idea of knowing who we are. How do we know who we are? And this immediately brings to mind Unity's first and second key principles. The first principle is the nature of God, by whatever name you call God. And that is that God is good, everywhere present, all powerful, all knowing, and right here all the time. And the second is the nature of humankind. So that's where it fits in for us, that we, you and I, are made in the image, the I am-age and likeness of God. And we know, very quick sentence in the Bible says God is love. So therefore, you and I are made in the I am-age, the image and likeness of love. And this love that we are, our true self, is already awake. We don't have to awaken that part of it. It's our ego that has to wake up. And the real you has never experienced any kind of hardship. It's never been under a surgeon's knife. It's never taken a pill. It's never had any challenges with finances, relationships. It's never suffered in any way, shape, or form. This real you, this real me, is neutral, and it lives in perfect peace no matter what. And this true self that we are is one with all of life. There is no you that is separate from anyone or anything. And so since the essence of all life is infinite love, we are infinite love in expression. Ralph reminds us in his writings of the analogy that you as a wave on the ocean. And although you as a wave gives the appearance of something distinct from the ocean in shape and size, the essence of both the wave and the ocean is water. So they constitute one substance, not two. The wave is not a separate entity from the ocean. Similarly, you are not an entity separate from life, regardless of how it may seem, regardless of these seemingly solid bodies. Our bodies really aren't solid. They just are vibrating at such a slow rate that they appear solid. So as this love, we not only are loved, but we are fully loved. We're fully safe. We're fully free. And the good news is that we can connect with and feel this infinite love that we are, this oneness, this pure awareness, by focusing on the heart. Some of you know heart math. And we just begin bringing our focus to the heart, breathing as if we're breathing in and out through the heart, and bringing to mind and heart something that gives us a positive, rejuvenating feeling. So I invite you just to do that for a moment right now. Just drop your attention to your heart. Take a few breaths at your own pace, as if you're breathing in and out through the heart. And feel good by bringing to mind something that gives you a positive, regenerating feeling. Yeah, So that's available 24/7. And feel good is another technique that I learned in my meditation course. So I'm really excited that I'm going to be offering an 8-week course on all these different techniques, probably beginning around the middle of November. Now, I know Ralph is with us today, and I wonder if he might unmute himself and put his video on. And I'd like to ask you, Ralph, if you would share the fact that people may notice as they're going through the workbook and listening to Sunday messages, and even in their soul circles, that there's quite a bit of repetition. So why do we have to keep hearing the same thing over and over again?
Well, thanks, Brendalyn, and hello, everyone. And although the color doesn't show up, I've got a red bandana on, so I'm trying to follow the rules for this week. And the idea of repetition is that we're very conditioned to not be at perfect peace. We're conditioned to look at what's wrong, what to watch out for, and that comes from our heritage way back when there were a lot of animals who wanted to gobble us up. And so we have this Velcro that will hook on to what isn't right for survival. And of course, even though there aren't animals now to grab at us, we still get hooked because of our conditioning. And the one way that you can work to decondition yourself is to hear a different story or message, that there is nothing to fear, that I am safe, that I am loved, just as you had said, Brendalyn. And so that is, I come at that from many different angles in the book, because we need to get immersed in a different story of how life is and a different story of who we really are. And so it's almost as if we're trying to rewire our brain in a way that, and of course I have practices each week and daily that people can do. And it's really to get different pathways, our neuroplasticity that we're blessed with, new ways of thinking and new ways of being. And that is what the repetition is about. And hopefully repetitions through stories and things like that. And just one other thing, you know, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Joe Goldsmith, who is a Christian mystic and who really lives as an awakened self. And if you read any of his books, they're all the same. He has maybe like 30, 50 books. You read it, you're reading the same book each time. And yet it is the flavor and the way he approaches it isn't the exact same words, but through stories and illustrations, he can keep going in the same direction to help you finally land in knowing who you truly are, and that judgment doesn't help. And there's a great saying of the Desert Fathers, who were early Christian mystics, and they say, if you want to find rest, ask, who are you, and do not judge. So I'll leave it at that.
Thanks so much, Ralph. You know, what it really is, I love that quote that you have in the writings by Ramesh Balsekar, who observes, even for those who have already understood something very clearly, a particular statement made in a particular context often brings out a subtle aspect which had earlier escaped their attention. And I know I have had that experience so many times. It's like suddenly I read something that I thought I already knew, and suddenly I know it on a deeper level. And the other thing that this repetition does is it dissolves old neural nets and creates new neural nets. You know, it dissolves old thoughts, old ways of believing, and creates new thoughts. And that's what unity is a new thought ministry. And we have to be constantly creating new thoughts that take us to a higher level. So so that's great. So be prepared for repetition and realize there's a method to the madness, right, Ralph?
Yes, that's right. Method to the madness, or the unmadness.
Unmadness, right? So how do we do this? How do we live in the perfect peace of knowing who we truly are? Well, we know always the first way, the first how-to every week at Unity Santa Fe is prayer and meditation. And so you'll have an opportunity during this 7-week series to prayerfully do the daily practices. I'm going to say more about that in a moment. And I invite you to consider praying the awakened poem daily as part of your spiritual practice. It's at the first part of Ralph's writings. And then to practice feel rest, and you'll get a little taste of that during today's meditation. And for any of you who have A Course in Miracles, workbook lesson 109, it's one of my favorite lessons, and it's called I Rest in God. And so a wonderful way to feel rest, to feel peace. Now, where the rubber meets the road. Some of you may have had the story about the traffic cop in New York City, and somebody came up to him and said, with a violin case, and said, "How do I get to Carnegie Hall?" And the traffic cop said, "Practice, practice, practice." So if you are serious about living in the perfect peace of who you truly are, I cannot stress enough, and again and again and again, how important it is to do the daily practices. Don't just read what they are, actually practice the daily practices. And be prepared that the ego doesn't want you to do it and doesn't think you need to do it, and will try to convince you have much better ways to spend your time, because the ego has no interest in you living in the peace of who you are. The ego cannot, or the pain body that's so much a part of the ego, Eckhart Tolle says, cannot stomach peace or love or joy. So if you find yourself saying, "Oh, I don't need to do this," know that that is not your awakened self speaking. That is your ego. So let it know who's in the driver's seat. Because an intellectual understanding isn't sufficient for significant progress to live as our awakened self. So if you're not going to be impeccable in doing the spiritual practices, the daily practices, then don't expect an intellectual understanding to raise your consciousness or transform your life. So do you get it? I'm really saying do the spiritual practices. And one of the other things you can do is register for one of our soul circles. They close after next week. So you want to get in on the ground floor. They start, we have one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one's on Thursday. Go to our website, figure out which one works best for you, and then email Tanya at communications@unitysantafe.org, and she will send you what you need. And also let the facilitators know who to expect in their circles. Next Sunday, the other practical how-to is wear orange to add energy to our continued ascent through the chakras. So in closing, I celebrate that our living in the perfect peace of who we truly are blesses us beyond our wildest dreams. And let's begin doing that right now by being one together in a sacred time of shared prayer. So I invite us to take a moment to straighten the spine, relax the shoulders, and the jaw, and settle into the present moment. Now bring your attention into your body and find a feeling of rest or relaxation anywhere you sense it in the body. Or you can create relaxation and rest by relaxing any muscles, by focusing on the feeling of rest that accompanies every exhale. And I invite you to practice this feel rest as you hear the words of an excerpt of Ralph's poem, Awakened, that is a foundation for resting in the peace of who you truly are. Let us rest in the perfect peace of who we truly are. Beyond all appearances, all concepts, all notions of a separate self. And no belief that says life should be any different than it is. Thus freed, we may, by gift of spirit, come to find ourselves awake, absent of all illusory fear, all imposter guilt. Now newly birthed, we live afresh in the perfect peace of oneness. This ineffable not two of oneness, who we truly are. So let us rest in the perfect peace of who we truly are and know it more deeply, individually and collectively, in about 3 minutes of silence. As we gently bring our attention back to our bodies, this time and place, silently say, "Thank you, divine oneness I am made in the image and likeness of, for the wisdom to rest in the perfect peace of who I truly am, no matter what. Thank you, I amness. Thank you, thank you, thank you, that it is so, and so it is." Amen. And now we will be blessed with special music recorded by Brian and Catherine.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. Sometimes I may wander away from the light, allowing my fears to take hold. But love is the constant that brings me right to the truth. All is well with my soul. All is well with my soul. It is well, all is well with my soul. All is well, all is well with my soul.
Oh, and it sounds like Catherine had some help with her pups. And I know, my dear Catherine, that all is well with your soul, even as you go through some challenging times physically. And I just celebrate that your spiritual practices are supporting and nourishing you through this time. So now I'd like to welcome all of our first timers and invite you to get on our mailing list by sending an email to communications@unitysantafe.org. And I'm looking forward to connecting with a new person that has shown up that contacted me last week. And so if any of you who are new would like to call me for a time to get to know each other, either over Zoom or the telephone, I would just love that. And that's true for anybody who's been around for years as well. I'm always loving to connect one-on-one with you. So now let's bless our prosperity blessing. And if you're on Facebook Live, you can hit that donate button, or if you're not on Facebook Live, there's so many ways that you can bless all of us with your financial support. So let's pray together our prosperity blessing. In a universe overflowing with unlimited abundance, all the needs of Unity Santa Fe and those we serve are bountifully met from every direction, known and unknown, expected and unexpected. Our abundant good comes to us now. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all I am, all I have, all I joyously give, and all I joyously receive. So that's the truth. And I'm so grateful it is so. And I'm so grateful to each and every one of us who is keeping our candles lit, our computers running, our Zoom connection happening through our generous financial donations. And I hope that you will consider deepening your partnership, if you haven't already, by making a recurring automatic donation through our website or through your own personal online banking. So now I invite you to light a virtual candle to remind you that you are the light of the world, and place it in a virtual bed of salt to remind yourself you are the salt of the earth. Wonderful. All right. And now our prayer for protection. The light of God I am surrounds me. The love of God I am enfolds me. The power of God I am protects me. The presence of God I am watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.